So we've got gluttony as a man,
right
here. We've got 2 women in cheetah print dresses on each side of him, and just the biggest pile of cocaine you've ever seen in your life on the table in front of, like, literal Scarface shit.
What's going on, guys? Andrew with Pride. Today we have got Drew, aka Drew is a name on TikTok, and a couple other things, I think. We had a really, really funny way that we actually met each other. And I can't remember how much of it you actually remember, but
not much.
The very first thing I commented on the very first thing I saw of yours was that you posted something about being sober, and it was, how the fuck do you meet sober people? And I stitched that, and I was like, I've been sober for 29 years. Here's how you do it. And then like, I think you commented just like, oh, word, like, you know, that I've been doing a lot of that. And I'm like, oh, cool, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, anyway, nice to meet another Andrew. And you said, nah, man, just Drew. And I was like, oh, word, your full name is Drew. That's crazy. So anyway, that was how I actually met you. And then somehow we ended up like shooting the shit about fitness. And, you know, you at the time were like pretty damn near 100% sober. I think you were still smoking, and that was pretty much it. But other than that, man, like you had a pretty sudden rise to a significant TikTok following. Tell us about that.
Yeah, really interesting that you said that. I actually remember that video like word for word now that you say it. I totally forgot about that. I remember that we met on TikTok, and that was like, you know, that was the start of everything, but I completely forgot you stitching that video. I actually ended up taking some of those ideas and using them.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, so I guess I ended up getting sober through a various line of events. Mostly stemming from a breakup, you know, as it usually goes. That's I feel like a lot of us find, you know, fitness or sobriety or self-improvement in general when your heart gets broken, right? Because
yeah, a whole lot of them.
Yep. I'd say actually most people that I've talked to, it's
I can actually think back to so I don't know if I've ever told this story. Brandy, if you're watching this or listening to this, we still talk. We're still good friends. It was like my girlfriend throughout like all of high school and stuff. But it was very similar to me. Like I got into weightlifting for like one semester in high school, and I immediately gave it up after for like a couple of years actually. But I have this like distinct memory in my mind where her and I were, I don't know, you know, doing what kids do. And she touches my arm and goes, "Oh my God, your arms!" And my brain, just every fucking synapse in my brain was like, I need this every moment until I die. Like I fucking so yeah, dude. It's and after her and I split, I was like, I'm gonna get fucking jacked. I had no idea what I was doing, but yeah, it ends up being the intro for a hell of a lot of people.
Yeah, so to give a little bit of context on my story, this is not the first time I got into fitness or lost weight, actually. In middle school, I hit like 240 pounds at like 5'4". So I was a little bowling ball in middle school. And then, you know, decided I wanted to change. Wanted to go into the Marines, actually, believe it or not. And so I ended up losing the weight, dropped from like 240 to like 150 over that summer and freshman year. Really fell in love with the gym, and then I got into drugs and alcohol. And, you know, when you get super hard into that, the gym gets to become a very hard thing to do.
I'd even argue like the gym ends up becoming a hindrance to you getting drunk and high. So
absolutely, yes, it does, because it feels really bad when you're hungover.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Have you ever worked out high?
Oh yeah.
What's that like?
Yeah. For a lot of people, they say that it helps them build the mind-muscle connection, and I can kind of see that. I can see how, you know, you're really focused in, and I feel, for me personally, on weed, it makes me feel a lot more, just everything. It just makes me feel more. It makes me be more aware of my presence and my surroundings.
Right.
So I could see that. For me personally, it just makes me lazier, though. It makes me not hit the lift as hard or go just be able to like push really to the teal failure standpoint, you know? So I don't really like it. It also makes me thirstier and hungrier, and it's not really for me.
Yeah, just all kinds of drawbacks.
Yeah.
So you got into the gym because of this breakup. What led to the creation of the TikTok?
Yeah. So I lost the weight the first time, right? I did that through middle school. And then I gained all the weight back. I dated the girl. The girl broke the heart, and then I did what every guy does when they get heartbroken by someone, and we're like, I'm going to be better than you.
100%. Every time.
Yeah. And so I started losing the weight, started working out. The transformation went pretty crazy, because I had the past muscle memory, and muscle memory is definitely a real thing. Okay, for those of you who can test
Yes,
that,
it is 100% real.
it is so real. I don't know how people can test that. Um, I just ended up, the gym became my outlet. I would literally stand in front of the gym mirror and cry and lift weights.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I was because I was getting sober and going through the worst heartbreak of my life at the same time. So it was just like I found myself like staring in that gym mirror, watching myself lift weights and cry.
What was it about this breakup that was like so uniquely intense for you?
I thought I had found my soulmate. I really thought that I had found my soulmate. I had been single for 7 years up to that point after my last serious relationship. Um, when I looked at that girl, I really thought like this is the person I was going to spend the rest of my life with. Like we lived together, we worked together, and we were in a relationship. So that breakup took my girlfriend, my house, and my job from me in the blink of an eye.
Right. Fuck.
And she cheated on me, no less. So that's
okay. Yeah, that definitely adds a different layer of complexity to it.
Yeah.
Also, real quick little thing. Try not to too much because it picks up a big echo.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
No.
Yeah, we can restart if we need.
No, we don't need to restart. Just wanted to give you a heads up.
Yeah, and so that it really rocked the foundation of who I was, and it put me as a sad alcoholic in my parents' living room and with literally nothing to my name, and that's that inspires a big change, and the gym then became my outlet for everything. It's where I was spending like 4.5 hours a day in the gym at that point.
Fuck.
Like every single day. Just completely destroying my body because it's the only thing that kept me from like not feeling all of that,
Right. Would you have described yourself as an alcoholic before the breakup?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So basically this breakup kind of like intensified that, and then after that there's just what was like the moment where you like finally looked at yourself and you're just like, you know what, fuck this, like this is not okay.
Okay, so I can actually tell you the exact moment. I'd been getting into the gym for about a month at this point, and this is where I really learned that working out whilst, drinking and being hungover is really, really not fun. So that kind of inspired it because I wanted to really give I really fell in love with the gym, so I wanted to give my everything to it. So I wanted to get sober for that partially already. But then Thanksgiving Day, okay? Thanksgiving Day.
What year? 21?
21. Thanksgiving Day 21. I had never really let my alcoholism affect my family. I've kept it very hidden from them.
Mm-hmm.
We went to my extended family's house that day, and I just got very blackout drunk, okay, at family Thanksgiving. I made a little bit of a fool of myself, but didn't do that much. But what blackout me does is he is kind of a klepto, honestly. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Blackout me is kind of a klepto. And for just no reason at all, I stole my niece's AirPods.
Oof. So how'd they find that out?
They didn't. If they see this, I'm so sorry.
Oh my God. You gotta just shoot her a random Venmo for like a couple $100.
I actually plan to do that at some
oh my God.
Here.
Just from your uncle. Love you.
Yeah, it's mostly just like when I feel like I'll be okay to do that, but that's coming soon.
Yeah, I get you.
Now, okay.
That's an interesting rock bottom.
It is.
Right?
Yeah. It's weird.
It's interesting that's the point that it hits. Not to like everybody's addiction, everyone's suffering is like different and everything, but I know people who have like eclipsed that by 1,000 times, and it's like still not the bottom for them. What do you think it was about that made you look like at yourself?
It's funny that you say that because I have eclipsed. I've been to jail because of my alcoholism. Mm-hmm. Like I have legitimately ruined my life because of alcoholism, and none of that ever stopped me, ever, at any point. But I stole these AirPods, and I woke up, and I was so anxious about it because I've never let it affect my family before, like truthfully, except for like my mother has woken up at my hospital bed from my overdoses, like, right. But I've kept it mostly hidden. I've never like stolen from them or done anything like that, right?
You have never initiated any form of like wronging them.
No
basically.
Form of like malice towards them. You know what I mean? Like, no, yeah, I've never intentionally done anything to hurt them, right? And not that that was intentional. It was black on me. I didn't even remember
Right.
doing it, but that's still, it's intentional to a degree. Um, I had a massive anxiety attack to the point where I got in my car and I drove back to their house with the AirPods.
Oh.
But I got to their house and I was like, I can't face this right now, because like they didn't know that I stole. I figured if they had known that I had stolen them, some text or call would have been made, right?
Yeah. AirPods are easy to lose.
Yeah, they're easy to lose. I figure I'm literally sitting outside of their house trying to plan a way to put them back in their house without them knowing. Like just put them in like one of the cars in their driveway or something. I went up to the cars in their driveway and I tried to open them and like put them in there.
Oh.
And they were all locked. And so I I just I ended up being like, they don't know. It's okay. They're very well off. So I don't feel that bad about it in that sense. Like they'll be able to replace them very easily.
Right. Right.
Um but I sat at a lake after that right near their house with them in my hand, and I was just like, I don't ever want to feel like this again. I don't ever want to make some ridiculously stupid decision. And it's just stupid. Like it's just stupid. Like I've put my life in danger because of it. I've legitimately overdosed and died because of my addictions. But this was just so stupid. And I went through so much emotional stress for just nothing. For just nothing at all. And something just clicked in me that day that I was just, I don't want to be this person anymore. You know,
Right.
I don't want to be this person.
It's almost like, because that was because all these other things, overdosing, waking up in a hospital bed, all these different things, those are the things done to you. Ultimately, like, yes, they affect other people to some degree, but there's something to be said about like taking an action that negatively impacts someone that you love, basically. Because yeah, it's like it's very similar to I don't know if I've actually talked about this situation, and I haven't asked this person's permission about it, so I won't. But there's a person that like I've loved, I love in my family, and they told me the hardest part about getting sober, going through the 12 steps, which isn't for everybody, but when they did it, they told me that they had like stolen from me several times, and I mean, they could barely get a word out because they were just like sobbing through tears. And there really is something about wronging somebody that you love that just like it really hurts you in a different way.
It does. It's I don't know, man. I don't really know how to describe it, to be honest with you. I mean, it really just, I have not been a great person through most of my life, right? Like I've done some wronging. I have wronged other people as well, but that just like, she's like a 13-year-old girl, right? She's like a 13-year-old girl who's my niece and in my family. And like, that's just, what level of an asshole do you have to be to steal from her? Like, that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man. And it's just, I don't know. It just
Addiction's fucked up, man.
It is.
Addiction's fucked up. And
It
that's
is.
like, I talked about in it won't be my last podcast, but it's episode 43. I talked about like how I've been sober my entire life and blah 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 blah, and I didn't really go quite into detail about like how much living with an addict is just, it's crazy, like there's anyway. But yeah, no, so addiction is fucking wild, guys. As a mild disclaimer, it obviously, addiction isn't an excuse for like what people does, and people, like every addict will say that, they're like, it's not an excuse, it is just a reason why this happens. So it's oftentimes, it will be this acknowledgement where it's like, like, hey, I did this, I fucked up, I'm sorry, I don't think I would have done this if this were not the circumstances. And I'm inclined to believe that because, I've known a lot of people who, were completely sober at one point, fell into being an addict, got clean again, fell back into it. And it's like two different people. It is like two fucking different people, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's legitimately like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, man. I mean,
what does it feel like? Like, is there a way that you can like, does that question make sense? Like, what is it like being?
It does. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's very hard to describe in the sense that, for me, my vice has always been alcohol. I've done everything pretty much, but they were more so of a means to an end. I almost never did other drugs unless I was already drinking. Drinking just kind of made me very susceptible to wanting to do more. Right. When I am drinking, it feels great. It feels great, honestly. And that's the problem. That's something that I never admitted to myself through my first round of sobriety was like, I love drinking. I love it. It makes me like more confident, uh, just more outgoing, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a certain point in which I consume too much that those, they say drunk actions are sober thoughts, right?
Right.
Or sober thoughts are drunk actions, whatever, how that goes.
Yeah, I get you.
I fundamentally disagree with that
Mm.
because like those walls that get broken down when you're under the substance like that, like sure they may be things that like I did, but there are other walls that you put in the way of like this is wrong. This hurts other people. That's why I don't do this. Cuz like I could do
Right.
those things sober. I could do them sober 100%.
It just lowers the inhibition around all these things where it's like, yeah, it will hurt them, but
I don't care. But I don't care. I don't
Right.
really think about that. All I'm concerned with is getting the thing done,
right.
right? And so like when I'm actually under the effect of it, I don't feel not like me. I still feel like me. Like there's not a significant difference. It's waking up the next day, right? And I'm not under the substance anymore that I'm like, wow, I cannot believe that I did that.
Right.
I can't believe it, to be honest with you. I've woken up after having done some things that like it literally has brought me to tears hearing the actions that I have committed. And that's a really difficult thing to explain, right? Because
Right.
I did do them. I take full accountability for it. I chose to drink that much. Like I regardless of, I wouldn't have done it if I wasn't under the influence. I still did. I am capable of that. That is me. But I would not ever do them sober.
Right.
And that's it's really hard to describe it beyond that, I suppose. But it really feels like two different people. Even though when I'm under the substance, it doesn't feel different.
Right.
If that answer makes sense at all.
Yeah, I think it does because it's I've talked about how like I did psychedelic therapy and there's two things actually that you said where there is this acknowledgement where I can look back at the sensation and the like openness during psychedelic therapy where I go, man, it feels good to do that. And then there's also this person where I'm like, how am I able to be like that? How am I able? And like, I would like to think and probably everybody does. I would like to think the person of me under the influence of, of these different substances is a good person, but, to what degree and like, how much would I need before that kind of tips over the edge? It's like most people are okay with like one or two drinks, but everybody has like a limit where they go past that. So it's like theoretically there's that point for me with like psychedelics and stuff like that too, where I tip past the point where it's like, oh man, now like, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, you hit that other kind of person more or less.
I think that's, and I'm going to be honest with you, I've thought pretty deeply about this. I think that kind of just goes into the human condition itself.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just substance, right? It's like you give anybody enough money, who do they become, right?
Yeah.
You give anybody enough power, who do they become, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a tipping point for morals and these walls that we put up for ourselves for everybody, but that's just because you have had to live within the confines of these things, right?
Right.
You watch a lot of people win the lottery and then they, get really into prostitutes and cocaine, right?
Yeah.
Like
Did you hear about that one guy who lost his entire fortune on prostitutes and cocaine?
Yes.
And then he went back to being a garbage man?
Yeah.
Fucking wild.
And that's like 80% of lottery winners.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I feel like that's kind of a hand-in-hand thing with like addiction as well. And substances is, you have these moral compasses and codes that like whether it's alcohol or a fuck ton of money, there's enough for everybody to overcome these certain things. And it's.
Did you hear about the cocaine rat study? There's so many cocaine rat studies.
The one
where they give it purpose and it no longer
and it doesn't want the cocaine water anymore.
Yeah. So fucking crazy.
They put it in Rat Disney World, and then they have it in like they have it in just like a normal boring container, and then they drink enough cocaine water till they die. But then they put it in Rat Disney World, and it won't even drink the cocaine water anymore.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
It's that all goes back to dopamine. It all goes back to dopamine, and I've been so I got diagnosed with ADHD recently.
Right.
ADHD, to put it in very simple terms, is just you do not produce enough dopamine. You don't produce enough dopamine. The dopamine that you do produce is sent to the wrong executive functions. Okay?
I'm an ADHD hater. I got diagnosed when I was young.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you on meds at all?
No, I completely dispute the existence of it.
I do not at all.
Oh my God, I
100%.
completely do.
I do not in any way. No, because
Right.
the way that medication was able to quite literally flip a switch in my brain so that I was able to really recognize what I've been doing my entire life to fill
Right.
the hole that ADHD creates was mind blowing.
So let me change what I said, because that is true. When I take Adderall, I am super fucking zoned in on everything, man. I'm just everything is fucking great. But what I mean, as far as like I dispute the existence of it, is that they always talk about these like chemical imbalances. They cannot measure them though. They cannot show you this is how deficient you are, and the way that they find your dosage. And guys, this is not medical advice. Do not fucking listen to me.
Ever.
Don't fucking listen to me.
Not doctors.
At all. But it's like, think about it. How do they give it to you? They say, hey, let's start you with 20 milligrams and see how that works. And then it's okay, well, we're going to go to 30, or we're going to go down to 10, or whatever it may be. But it's all self-reported. The other thing is, what's something you really love? Something you really enjoy?
Working out.
Working out? Do you need a pill to enjoy working out?
No.
Because you care about it. It takes your focus. Do you like video games?
Yeah.
Do you need Adderall to take or to play video games?
Interestingly that you say that, actually. Before Adderall, I would have like another YouTube monitor open, and I would also be listening to music so that I could have even more stimulation with the video games. Post Adderall, do not do either of those.
Interesting. I listen to podcasts when I'm doing really grindy shit on video games, but that's about, that's because I'm doing menial tasks and stuff. But yeah, so it's like, I think, again, not a doctor. Don't fucking listen to me. Pretend I'm an idiot. I can be. I almost wonder if its existence is more so a symptom of, do people have things they're passionate about? Do people have things that they actually care about? Because it's like, if you give me something that I can drive single-mindedly at, and I really care about, and I really am passionate about making happen, like this podcast, I don't have to think about doing this. I fucking love this shit. Making content for YouTube, I fucking love that shit. But then it's like, as things get lower down that totem pole, it feels like more of a strain to focus. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it totally does. So I completely dispute the fact that you don't think it's real, though, on that basis.
Okay, all right, yeah. So we're mincing definitions, and we probably agree. We're just saying it differently.
Well, so I think the reason that you don't need any kind of medication when you're on those things, when you're really focusing into something that you're passionate about, is because those things that you're passionate about are creating dopamine
that is
spikes.
the dopamine.
It's creating dopamine spikes, so you can focus on it. The only reason you can't focus on things is because you're not getting any reward to focus on it from your dopamine spikes. So the further you go down this totem pole, right, you need more of a help. Because if you look at people like just completely fucking mentally healthy people, they don't need a push to get very mundane tasks done. They just do them because they need to be done. I will sit around and not be able to get up and like take a shower because I am so disinterested in doing it, because it does not provide me any level of reward. The Adderall just puts me at that baseline level where I don't feel like I need a reward to go and do said task.
Right.
And that's really where I think the difference is. Because yeah, everything that I'm passionate about, I can focus on and I can go and do. But you need to be able to do the mundane tasks as well, you know. And that's really where the hard part comes in for me. And something that to go back on what I was saying.
Real quick, just one last little thing. Guys, if you want to go down a mild conspiracy theory rabbit hole, and don't go too crazy down this, look up the creation of the DSM. It's like the thing that they use to diagnose like different. It's fucked up.
It's a good rabbit hole.
It's fucking crazy,
it's a
dude.
Good rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's like, it's really good, and it's like, I don't want to say depressing, but it's like upsetting how much of like our mental health care is like self-reported.
Yeah,
it's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah, so I also, to that degree, just before I go down on this, I think that mental illnesses are widely overreported.
Absolutely.
I think that for the vast majority of people, if you fixed your diet and went to the gym slept regularly and fixed your circadian rhythm and absorbed sunlight before 10 a.m., you do all of that.
Yep.
And then if you're still affected,
go see someone.
This is when you need medication.
Exactly.
And this is when you need to like see a psychiatrist.
Yeah. There's some really, man, you can scroll through TikTok just for a short little period of time, and the people who are, God.
You have ADHD if you don't take your shoes off when you get home.
Fuck off immediately. But then also the people where their diagnosis is their entire personality, and it's like, it's in their bio, and it's also there's something that God, I'm gonna get canceled all over the place. There's something about the what is it called? Like not neurotypical or something like
Yeah,
that.
neurotypical, which is like just people who are not mentally ill,
Oh,
right?
neurodivergent. That's the opposite of it. Yeah. So people will like call themselves neurodivergent, and then everything that they do, they ascribe to them being neurodivergent. Like
Yep.
there was some dude. I have this sitting in my draft, and I'm not going to post it because I'm a coward. But there's a guy who posted a video of him listening to music and just kind of doing these little head flutters and stuff like that. And I watched it and I was like, that's called enjoying music, dude. That's fucking nothing to
Yeah.
do with neurodivergence.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you like something. That's like me like eating food and being like, and being like, oh, it's my neurodivergence. It's like that's everyone does that. Like people do different things to different degrees, but I don't fucking know. Anyway, back on wherever the fuck we
Yeah.
were.
Okay. So I'm gonna circle back. Because this is an interesting, or at least I find it to be incredibly interesting. And these are brand new revelations for myself, actually, that I'm really coming across, and why I would say that ADHD is real, but it is not. It is again not what I think
Right.
a lot of people think that they have. My insane lack of dopamine. So people with ADHD are 8 times more likely to be addicts. Okay.
Makes sense.
Because everything that you can get addicted to gives
Gives
you
you dopamine.
It gives you dopamine. I started out my journey being super addicted to World of Warcraft. Played it from 8 years old until I was 15. Okay.
Dude, oh my God, we're about to be really fucking similar. Continue.
I played it from 8 years old until I was 15. This is when I found drugs and alcohol. I found drugs and alcohol. My addiction to WoW stopped, but I got super addicted to drugs and alcohol.
So
Right.
here's where we would diverge. You got into drugs and alcohol. I got into sex and porn.
So it's interesting. We'll get there.
Yep.
After I got off drugs and alcohol, and my drugs and alcohol phase lasted until I was 24, so it was 10 years. 10 years that
Right.
did that in my very formative years. I got off of the drugs and alcohol, and I made the TikTok account.
Oh.
And then I got super addicted to the dopamine spikes that social media gave you.
Right,
I was
right.
chronically online. I was posting 3 times a day.
Right.
I was posting 3 Instagram posts a day. I was doing stories. I was running. I was just anything to get that fucking dopamine hit on the
Dude, I
social
post
medias
like
after.
15 stories a day. You're giving me a little ahas.
Yeah, I know.
Continue.
I know. And I would scroll through to see who viewed it, and I would like if someone specific would heart it, that would give me a little fucking pop, you know?
Yeah.
And we'll talk about this as well. I ended up relapsing essentially. It wasn't
Right.
because
So this is where we met, by the way. This
Yeah.
is where we actually met was very briefly back into this relapse. But it was interesting because so I don't know if I've told you this. Because I've had a lot of friends who like, went off the wagon, got completely sober, and then like seemingly, fell back off the wagon or something before they got sober again. And you posted a thing about it where you were like, I think maybe I just needed to take this break and I can probably handle it. And I literally had this moment where I said, God, I hope he doesn't fucking die before he realizes that that's not the case.
Yep. Yeah. It's and I realize now. So I went from the social media right back into the drinking,
Right.
and then I stopped feeling the need to post because I was drinking.
Fuck, dude, you're right.
And that's when I took my break from. I stopped posting because
Holy
I started
shit.
drinking again. I cut drinking off again, but I still wasn't posting because I felt like I needed to get like myself together before I was posting. Didn't have the drinking, didn't have the posting, didn't have the video games, so I got super into sex. Just my brain went
Dude.
wild for sex. I was constantly swiping, looking for someone to sleep with. I was either swiping for someone to sleep with, I was driving somewhere to sleep with someone, or I was sleeping with someone. And that was constant. It was constant.
Yeah.
And then I cut that off as well. And now that's led me here. And I'm like fiending for like dopamine hits, dude.
Right.
I'm just, and it's made me look back on everything, and all of those is just a way to replenish that dopamine that I am lacking, that I'm not producing naturally.
Right.
It's just to to hit this baseline level that my brain so desperately craves to be at, and that's all my life has been.
Right.
Has just been the pursuit of dopamine. That's everything, and it's just,
Dude, it's so like for me, the trade off probably happened when I was about 27, and that's when I started posting content.
Yeah.
That's when I started like really taking my YouTube serious. Started posting like just little Instagram pieces here and there and whatnot. And then like the TikTok and all that shit. So it's weird because yeah, once again, there's this weird little parallel, but we're like, it's almost like you've seen like those things where it's like twin flames where they
Yeah.
kind of like bouncing. We're doing that, but it's with like different forms of addictions where we're just kind of like meeting each other at like the same one and then we're fucking back out.
Absolutely. And I think so, like, when I make it sound like that, right? If you look around, we're all doing that.
I was gonna say
we're
yeah.
biologically programmed to chase dopamine. It's our reward chemical, right? Like dopamine's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
But it's so easily accessible right now. But
So what is it that you think is different about, I'll say you and I, since I've been diagnosed as well, and like Adderall has that effect on me. What is it that you see as different about you and I versus like, I don't want to call it, but neurotypical people who don't have this diagnosis?
I think that we need something like you have found with content, and I also found with content is fantastic. You actually see a ton of ADHD people go for content because it's a really easy dopamine source, but it's productive. It's productive. You can make it a career, and you not only entertain others, but you're helping people with it as well. Depending on what you do with content, right? So some people are not helping people, but
yeah. Go ahead and anybody watching this, if you haven't listened to the next episode that I did with Charlotte from Welcome to the Peasant Party. We talk a lot about people who are not helping people on TikTok.
Yeah, there's, I think, the grand majority of them, to be honest with you.
I
love TikTok, but I hate TikTok.
Yeah.
But I just think that I think a lot of people who have this problem desperately crave something to give them the hit that they need because you feel shitty without it. You feel really shitty without it. And that's for anybody because you can lower your dopamine levels by a ton as well, and everybody's affected by that, not just ADHD people, but your brain desperately claws at trying to get back to that baseline. And so I think that finding a passion is a lot. I feel like a lot of people who are affected in this way are the creatives who end up like with a huge passion for something, like because they need to do it. They need to do it to feel good, like to feel that baseline level of good. They need to be doing it. And I think a lot of people who perhaps don't crave that higher baseline level as much, get more comfortable in the mundane, I suppose.
Right.
They're more comfortable doing the office jobs of the world, know, because
that's something that's always shocked me is like, and yeah, maybe that is, something about it, but yeah, it has always shocked me that there are people who can like, and it's not even to say those are bad, but it's like, I cannot do that. I don't understand how people are able to do that. It sucks the life out of me.
It blows my mind. Okay. Not only that some people are able to do that, but like
excel.
But like the grand majority of people do that.
Yeah.
Like think about these just huge office buildings that you drive by that are all over downtown, and every single one of those windows has someone just plugged away in a desk at it, man.
Yeah.
There's like that blows my mind to think about because I'm the same way. If I can't do that, I've tried to do that. I've tried to do the office job route. I cannot do it. I physically am unable to sit there and do that. Like I need to be chasing something. I need to be like doing creative endeavors, or it makes me want to like.
Every single office style job that I've had needed to have a fitness or sales component to it, or I couldn't have done it. Like I've had a couple like office-esque jobs, and every single one of them, I was also doing sales or I was also doing fitness.
All of mine were sales as well.
Yeah, I could not do it without it.
Mm-hmm. It's because in my opinion, at least, this is, you get again, that dopamine hit from making a sale. Making a sale. It gives you something to pursue. It gives you something to focus on.
It gives you a challenge too, which makes the dopamine like hit way, way better. I mean, I remember, God, dude, I remember like one of the best sales that I ever got. I chased this person for like weeks because I knew they were fucking buying, and it was just like weeks and weeks and weeks of going back and forth with this person. They finally bought, and I mean, it was a 5-figure deal, and I was 20 or something like that, and I just, oh god, dude, it felt so fucking good.
When you hit moments like that, it's literally like nutting. Like it's
the fact I still remember this almost a decade later.
It's crazy, man. Those things stick with you, and it's just because that high is so intense. And, and I've noticed it within a lot of people who are just creatives or salespeople, and in the not even just the ADHD aspect of things, but I don't know if it's all ADHD, if it just goes undiagnosed or what have you.
Right.
But there are certain people who just really fucking crave those dopamine hits and will really excel to do them. And you see it fall on two ends of the spectrum, right? Some people fall into addiction, which
Right.
I did for a very long time.
Right.
Or some people fall into the productive route of dopamine because there is healthy dopamine that you can go and chase, whether it's making that sale or making that content
Yep.
or a meaningful
Yeah,
relationship
I was
can
gonna say
provide
like
a
being a
lot.
good father or something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
those are also fantastic, healthy, natural dopamine hits. Like dopamine
Right.
is a good thing, but it can just be used so poorly. You know?
Yeah. So I'll give you another thing then, because this is another theory that I had about like pretty much every like mental not every single one of them, but a lot of the more popular ones and stuff. Those are like autism, ADHD, I would even
OCD is
say
my least
yeah,
favorite.
OCD, narcissism, like all that kind of stuff. I have a theory that all of those things, if they do exist, they have a purpose behind them. So it's like think if you think back to like hunter gatherer day like days and stuff like that, where it was just humans doing human shit.
Hmm.
It was like, why would ADHD be good? Well, someone who really wants to drive toward another big goal, or like find ways to improve, or do anything that would have given them a dopamine hit. What would be a good thing about someone who has OCD? Well, maybe they keep things in like hyper order. They keep things all put together that other people would pull out of order. What would be a good thing? Oh, man, I'll give you a hot take one. What would be a good reason to have like a psychopath or something like that? Someone who's like actually diagnosed with sociopathy.
A
Well,
warrior.
I was gonna say, if you got a warring tribe,
Yeah.
and you need someone to go spill some guts, who are you gonna fucking go to?
You need
So it's like,
executioners, right?
exactly, yeah. Like it's so all these things out there. I mean, fuck, dude.
I fully agree, and I mean, you see it represented throughout time, right? There's, in my opinion, like, not everyone can be an artist.
Yep.
Not everyone can be an artist. I'm sorry. Everyone can do anything. I don't subscribe to that. I don't subscribe to that at all.
Absolutely.
Because I can't sit at a desk. I can't sit at a desk. I will probably, most likely, never be the CEO of a multinational corporation because I can't sit at a desk long enough to get there.
Right.
Right? Just like I can't paint a picture very well. But then my sister came out of the womb able to draw a nice picture. You know what I mean? And that's like, I feel like there are, whether you want to call them mental illnesses, whether you want to call them just different neurochemical pathways,
Right.
whatever you want to define it as, certain people are meant to do certain things,
Yeah.
right? And it's
Or at least more inclined and gifted.
or more
toward it.
inclined. You
Yeah.
can probably force,
Yeah.
if you're the most unartistic person in the world and you want nothing more than to be an artist, you will probably be able to be an artist.
Yeah.
You'll probably be able to do that. But there's this quote that I heard once, right? That's you can outwork talent, okay?
Right.
But there was a coach that I had that said, unless the talent is also working.
Yeah. I think the quote is like talent or it's like talent works hard when hard work something or whatever.
Yeah, you get the gist of it. Yeah.
It's that one. I can't remember exactly what it is, but yeah, that's also something. So I had one friend, sorry guys, that was my dog in the background. I have a buddy named Brian who at God, what were we? 14 maybe. Did you ever listen to Between the Buried and Me?
Sounds familiar.
It was a metal band. You've probably heard of them once or twice, but there's a band called Between the Buried and Me. If you remind me, I'll show you the solo after. But at like 14 or 15, he's playing this guitar solo from the song Selkies by Between the Buried and Me. And I watched it. My friend showed me it, and this is like when I was starting my first band. And he goes, yeah, like, do you think you can play stuff like this? And I'm like, what the fucking shit? Like, no, not a fucking chance, dude. Like, absolutely, I cannot play any of this shit. And it was crazy because not only like was this kid this good, he was a couple years younger than me, and he was like posting all kinds of shit like this on YouTube. And I was like, oh my God, maybe I shouldn't be in a fucking band. But like, obviously it ended up working out fine. Like I got to do cool shit in the music space. But like that is one of those people where he was so gifted from an early age that if he and I put in the same amount of effort, he is always going to be shooting a little bit further ahead of me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With music in particular, just to go off that, I had one friend who, if you played something in front of him and he listened to it, he could then play it on multiple instruments.
Yep.
And that's not, he was able to do that since he started music. Like that's not something that, in my opinion, I don't think I could ever learn to do that, to be honest with you. Like I don't really think that's, and it's the same with like sports, right? I watch some plays in sports happen where like I could start training from now until the end of my life, and I'm never going to be able to replicate that.
Yeah.
Right. And that's just the way it goes, you know. And I think for the same thing,
Do you have anything like that?
like, do I have any talents in that way?
Yeah, it's because I thought of one for myself, but like, do you have one?
Tell me yours.
I am an unusually gifted bencher. Like at 180, I benched 315. You know, like that's weird.
That's really good.
Yeah,
That's really high.
yeah, it's fucking weird.
Um,
But like at that same weight, I only squatted 350. You know, so it's like I am just an unusually good bencher, and I have no idea why.
That's really interesting. That's
Yeah.
really interesting. Yeah, I know a couple people, especially like within fitness, that can do that. Actually,
Yeah.
That's like I kind of feel that way about my biceps. Actually, to be honest.
Yeah,
With you.
yeah,
Yeah. I see dudes much heavier than me doing the same sets, or much bigger than me, like doing the same weight on
Right.
on bicep curls and things like that. Apologies. Hopefully
good.
that wasn't too loud. I am not entirely sure what I really have a knack for in that sense. I think to some degree, I have a very keen sense of self-awareness that I have not seen replicated in a lot of people. I also think I'm just really naturally good at talking. I've always been really good at talking. I've been able to talk my way. I have been arrested by the DEA and the FBI, and I am not a felon.
Can you please tell the DEA or FBI story?
I'll happily tell either of them.
Okay, fuck, let's go.
Um,
Wait, before we get there, because I know that's gonna be really fucking interesting. Wrap up the so you and I met at some bar downtown.
yes.
And
Oh yeah.
okay, yeah, because we gotta hit the like you fell back in, then you got back out, and like what all that shit was like.
Yeah.
So it was funny. Like I'm gonna paint the picture for you guys. So I'm planning to meet him out. I know that he just recently started drinking, and I already have this idea because of watching other friends, you know, relapse, thinking that they were gonna be fine. I'm expecting this man to be fucking plastered. I wasn't too far off, but I remember we go from one location to another. You buy a full round of drinks for all your friends, and then something had happened with someone that you were talking to, and then we go to a different bar, and you were just, and I agree with you on this part, by the way, so I'm not saying this is a funny thing, but then you go, dude, I think we're gonna be really good friends, and I was like, oh yeah. And I was like, you got up and went to the bathroom, and I go, I hope that's not the alcohol talking.
Oh yeah, no, it was not. It was not. No, we've had a good click ever since then.
Oh yeah, for sure.
To briefly point this out, I honestly, what I think I might be better than people at, and this is really bad, I have just an ungodly tolerance to everything that I do. I can consume substances like no one I have ever met, to be honest with you. It is.
I personally watched you take between shots and drinks and beers and stuff. Personally watched you drink 5. I don't know how much you had before I was there.
The night before we met at that same bar, so that bar that weekend was doing free drinks.
Right.
They was their grand reopening, no limits, free drinks. Never seen anything like it. I drank 17 double vodka Red Bulls the first night that I did that, and drove home.
Holy fuck, dude. Jesus Christ.
And I remember all of it. I didn't black out or anything from 17 double vodka Red Bulls.
Over how long?
Over 3 hours.
Jesus fuck, dude.
I, from the age of 16 to 20, would drink a bottle of vodka a night. And you know what? Recently had a physical done, full blood work panel. My liver, in good shape.
We can do a lot of interesting shit with our bodies in the early days. So it's like if you're gonna do things to fuck your body up, do it before like 25.
Do it early. Also with the drinking and driving thing, do not drink and drive. I'm a piece of shit. I'm a piece of shit.
Look at this acknowledgement, everybody. He knows it's a bad idea.
I should be dead or in jail. Okay, like do not drink and drive.
Exactly. So anyway, we meet there.
So yeah, we do that. That weekend happens.
We end up going and hanging out with some other people. You end up texting me in the morning. You're like, yeah, I fucked up last night. I'm a dumbass. I'm like, all right, word. We don't need to go into that, but
yeah, that was a whole jacuzzi filled evening.
Oh my god, yeah. And it is not what you guys think.
It is. So I guess what started this, I ended up relapsing, not because I was depressed or I felt super addicted or what have you. I I had always planned to go back to drinking when I got sober. My plan was get your life under control, learn some discipline, and then you'll be able to drink again mildly. And so I started to. Uh, I was good at that for about a week and then fell right back into immense alcoholism. Because as it turns out, I'm not really meant to drink. I'm not really meant to drink.
Right.
And so, we met that weekend, and then.
So what was it that, like, what was the second realization where you turn things back around and get sober again?
So I really hope that people listen to this whole podcast because you're going to get a kick out of this. And I know anyone that stays to this point will. Okay.
Right. I might just make that the intro for this.
You should. Okay. I told you the first time I got sober involved a pair of AirPods.
Right.
I currently own 2 pairs of AirPods.
Oh my God.
I ended up drinking for about a month after I relapsed. I got into a relationship with a woman who was very good to me. And I got very drunk with her one night to the point where I blacked out. I ended up getting sent home in an Uber by her friend because they didn't want me to go home with her. That's enough to right there be like, wow, this is a problem.
Right.
But I ended up apparently giving the Uber the wrong directions, getting dropped off 5 miles from my house.
Oh my God.
And started walking to the point of where a cop picked me up on the side of the road and then drove me home.
Jesus.
I woke up that morning the same day that I got sober the first time, which is the day after Thanksgiving.
Oh.
With a pair of stolen AirPods from her friend's house.
Oh my God.
If that's not a sign from God
Holy
to
fuck,
stop
dude.
drinking, I literally fucked my relationship up on the same day that I got sober last year.
I'm watching these, bro. I'm watching these.
I carry them with me as a reminder.
Oh my God.
I literally, the same day I got sober, 2 years in a row, I also stole a pair of AirPods from someone that I cared about.
Jesus
And
Christ.
that's just, how ridiculous is that I stole the same item on the same day because I was drinking. That's
Woof.
That's it. Again, if that's not a sign from God, I don't know what is.
Yeah, holy fuck, man. That's crazy.
Yep. And so I got sober again that time. Have not drank since. Because actually no, I have drank once since.
Okay.
Because I was like, okay, this time I'm not going back to drinking.
Right.
There's no level of discipline I can acquire to then become a moderate drinker. Because I've realized, and this is kind of what the experiment was that I drank one time after that date. I literally just had one drink to see how I felt, to just kind of sit there and digest it and really pay attention to how I was feeling. I don't get relaxed from one drink. Like some people go home, they have one glass of wine or one glass of whiskey, and it helps them relax. It does. And I've seen it. My body just starts to scream at me to consume more alcohol the moment I ingest a drop of alcohol. The moment I ingest a drop of alcohol, every fiber of my being is like, pound this drink, go get another drink right now. And that's it. I literally do not relax. I literally, every fiber of my being will not stop drinking until I am drunk. I love alcohol too much. I love being fucked up too much. It's not that I hate alcohol. I just like it too much. And so, I don't know. I realized the second time around after that relapse, that I just don't get to be a moderate drinker. I don't get to be, and I don't think that's a bad thing either, because alcohol is literally poison. Even one drink is bad for you.
Fucking terrible.
Anyone who says the red wine, one glass of red wine per day is good for your cardiovascular system, that's a lie.
The only thing that they're getting,
it's only good for one group of people, which is 40 to 60-year-olds with pre-existing heart conditions.
And
that's it.
That are eating high quality diets. So that, if I remember correctly, the red wine thing was done on people in like Sardinia or somewhere in Italy. I can't remember but it was basically, they were doing the Mediterranean, what is now called the Mediterranean diet. So it's like okay, so these people are eating an extremely high quality diet that is like super rich in omega-3 fatty acids and protein and all these other things. Yeah, they can deal with a fucking glass of wine. But
Yeah.
you, with your SAD, aka standard American diet, the SAD diet.
That's hilarious. I've never heard that.
Oh, dude, it's so there's actually one. I can't remember what the second half of it is, but it's the SAD fat diet, and it has like a whole thing. But yeah, standard American diet, the SAD diet. Um, yeah, the one glass of wine thing. That's not about you.
No.
That is not about you.
No, it's not. No, the one beer a day is possibly good for you thing. The one drink a day is
Yeah.
good for any part of you. It is not. It is all bad.
Yeah, all that stuff is with like 20 like assumptions that you are eating a high quality diet and exercising regularly and all these other things. That's not you guys.
And even then, even if you are doing all of that, it does not make it then good for you. Okay,
Yeah,
it's just not as bad.
Yeah, because all the good things that you are going to get from it are very very likely you can get another. I don't know. That's a whole different rabbit hole.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
can you share the steroid story?
yeah. So okay, I think that did we wrap up the?
I feel like we wrapped it.
We wrapped up the whole. Okay, I'm sober now. That's it.
Sober now.
Relapse,
Boom.
all that good stuff. About a year of sobriety. So after getting sober, I really got into fitness. Right, started the fitness TikTok. Was really fucking about it. Fitness has become my passion.
Did you mean for it to become a fitness TikTok?
Yes, at first actually. Now it's not really a fitness TikTok. I actually haven't posted a fitness video in a long time. It's just me talking. It started out as a pure fitness account. If you scroll all the way down, there's nothing but fitness on it. It's all just like fitness aspirations and posing videos and stuff like that.
Right.
And so because of that, you know, you get really into working out and you see these guys with the fucking crazy physiques. I saw steroids and I was like, well, they're really not, and this is not saying go do steroids.
Right.
They're, especially certain steroids, are not that bad for you.
Right.
They're not that bad for you. With the proper precautions, if you have again, completely dialed in diet training regimen,
get your blood work done first. One of the most important things is if you're going to do it.
Routinely.
Exactly.
Every like couple weeks if you're cycling.
Yeah. If you guys like, I haven't talked about steroids very much, but if you're ever going to decide to do steroids, the bare minimum thing that you need to do is get all your blood work done first, so you understand roughly what you want to get back to as like a pre-steroid marker.
Mm-hmm. And especially if you are like deficient in certain things, the additional supplements and things you need to be on while on the cycle, or you will have horrendous side effects.
Yep.
So I see it, right? I get on, I guess beforehand, when I really got into fitness, I noticed that I had a lot of symptoms of low testosterone.
Right.
So I went to a TRT clinic and got my blood work done. I was extremely low testosterone naturally. And this is after like 5.5 months of perfect diet, sleep, and training. I was still extremely low testosterone. Like, some people are going to be low test, but it's not, you are, again, fat, drinking, and not sleeping.
Right.
Don't go get on TRT if you're doing this.
Yeah, there's so much shit you can already do.
There's lots of natural testosterone boosting things first, okay? But after 4.5 months straight of perfect conditions, went in and got tested. The natural levels for someone our age should be around 400 to 800 nanograms per deciliter.
Yeah. 400
being pretty much the lower end. Some people, maybe 300, I should say.
Yeah,
like 300 is going to be the lower end.
The bare minimum you need to do something immediately is like I think the bare minimum acceptable level last time that I checked was like 250.
Yeah. And that's like, extremely low.
That's you're fucked. You need to do something.
You should probably be on TRT with 250.
Yeah.
Up to like, I've seen people naturally at like 800, right? 800 is like the highest end of the spectrum. So you want to be in that range, right? I got my results back at 160. Jesus. At 160, I had the natural testosterone levels of like a sick 60-year-old man.
Right.
And so I got on TRT. TRT changed my life. Right. Going from 160 testosterone to hovering around like 900.
Right.
Literally changed me as a person.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it literally fundamentally changed who I was. Like, it increased my confidence. It made me be able to work out harder and longer. It helped my focus. It helped my depression, my anxiety. Like, it felt incredible. And so, you know, when you experience something like that, and then you see people talking about actual steroids,
right?
Like running a cycle, and they're like, imagine what you just experienced, but tenfold.
Yeah,
right?
it gets even better.
There's this trope actually that says if you get on TRT at a young age, you'll run a cycle. It's just inevitable.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who ran a cycle at a young age, fucked up their levels, and now they're on TRT for life.
Yep. Yeah, that also happens.
Yep.
So I did. I end up deciding that I want to do tren for my first real cycle.
I don't know if I've talked about trend, but the short version is, guys, that makes you fucking crazy.
It is the single most powerful steroid. It is. There is no contest.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
I have a friend who, when he gets on trend, he and I make a plan not to talk while he's on cycle because he is. It's just I can't deal with him.
I became someone that I, especially towards the end of the cycle, do not recognize.
Yeah.
It really can mess with you mentally in an immense way. You should also not ever do it for your first cycle.
Absolutely.
Ever. Tren is what's called a show drug, meaning that you do not get to retain any of the gains that you get. I retained maybe 2% of what I got out of that cycle. So I hopped on it, and it just felt incredible while I was on it.
Right.
I should also mention that I am bipolar. Bipolar is heavily affected by steroids because they mess with your hormone production.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially tren.
Tren in particular binds onto your serotonin receptor. And so you are no longer producing serotonin. I don't know if I need to say this, but that's very bad for bipolar.
Right.
That's extremely bad for bipolar.
Right.
When I was on the tren, because it was hyper producing all those chemicals in my brain,
yeah.
I went into like a 3-month long mania. I was literally like, to emphasize the level of mania I was in, on my lunch break one day, I went and got my septum, both sides of my nostrils, and my nipples pierced. And then 4 weeks later, took them all out.
Jesus Christ. So real quick, just so everyone has some frame of reference for what tren is like. Not right now, but at the end of this episode, type in tren, Trin, or Tren, excuse me, more plates, more dates. And there's just some great horror stories on there.
There is.
They're wild.
Yeah, I like, it just gave me all kinds of problems. And then but it made me look and feel incredible. I mean, I was show ready, dude. Like I was shredded as fuck.
Right.
I was huge. Like I put on 14 pounds of lean muscle in 2 months.
Are you still on cycle, or did you just go back to
No,
TRT?
I went right back. I went down to TRT only.
Gotcha.
Coming off of it, they talked. I got a lot of shit because they were like, "You're not ready for the shutdown. Like, you don't have the experience to be capable of dealing with a shutdown." I did not. I also did not do a proper PCT either.
Oh Jesus.
So after the mania subsided and I got off cycle, because it continues to bind onto and shut down your serotonin receptor, I went into a deep depression, like the worst depression I've ever been in my life. Didn't really, I was told that it would be really hard to train after with the shutdown. I did not really experience that, to be honest with you, but I was still on TRT, so that could definitely have.
The people who say it's really hard to train after usually mean that they don't feel motivated because they know they're losing muscle.
That's true. That's okay. I could see that. Yeah, I don't really, I have to train or I will kill myself. So
yeah. Feel it.
So I didn't really feel that part. I still trained fine, but the depression, the mental sides from it was so bad. It was insane. It was super not worth it. And then I got really bad cystic acne from it. Really, really bad cystic acne from it right on the timeline. So a lot of people don't get acne while they're on cycle. They get it after.
Yeah.
I had my dermatologist appointment today for it, actually.
Oh.
I have that going on right now.
Oh.
However, even with those sides could have been mitigated if I did a proper PCT,
right.
And was prepared for it. Even with the bad things that came with it, I'll be honest with you, I will run a cycle again, 100%.
Would you do tren again?
In the future, yeah.
100%. Oh my God.
In the future, 100%.
Man never learns. Okay, so here.
No, so but that's only for show prep. Like only in the proper like if I'm stepping on like a national stage or something like that, or like
Right.
to get my pro card, I would do it. I would never just casually run a trend cycle again in my life.
So here's my question. Having that addict brain, having been an addict, gotten sober, convinced yourself it was okay, gotten sober, and then staying sober, how do you hold those up against each other?
Like the steroids against it?
Yeah.
I think it absolutely can still be considered like an addiction and
Well,
substance abuse.
no. So not necessarily in that. How do you? So you're seeing all these downsides from having taken that cycle, and then you're like, yeah, but I'll still do it again. How do you? I get like how do those work together?
I guess because, I mean, as I said, I would never casually run a trend cycle again.
Okay.
I would never
Yeah.
just do it just to do it.
More outcome dependent.
Because like I will, like, my dream is to become an IFBB bodybuilder now.
Right.
So if it's like to get my pro card and step on stage with that, like I would run a trend cycle again.
Have you talked to any other pros about that?
Yeah,
Okay.
several. I mean, a great majority of them do trend for their shows.
Yeah.
Like-
Well, no, not that. About you wanting to be an IFBB pro.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I've talked to a few. I actually think that I have pretty good genetics for it. To be honest with you, my physique looked pretty good.
I think it depends what you would want to do. Because I'm also thinking of like bodybuilder friends, and I'm like, dude, neither one of us have a fucking shot. But that's bodybuilding, totally different.
Yeah. I mean, why do you think you don't have a shot bodybuilding?
Oh, dude, bodybuilding?
Yeah.
Man, look at those motherfuckers, bro. They're colossal.
You could do that.
Not a fucking chance.
Yeah, you could do that. 100%.
I am going to put up a picture. Hey, Andrew, I'm talking to you. Put a picture up right now of like some teen bodybuilding guy from 2022, and then just put up another picture of like some random TikTok star bodybuilder from 2022. And we're just gonna see how small I am compared to some of these motherfuckers. They're huge
right now, yeah, but they're also
Huge.
none of them are natural. I mean,
I was
none
gonna
of
say
them
I'm
are
also
fucking natural.
30 though.
Yeah, but I know there's this dude who stepped on the Olympia stage and almost won, who started lifting at your age,
Oh, Jesus.
and he
Christ.
stepped on the Olympian stage.
That man might have God genes though.
He could 100%.
I got good chest genetics, hence the 315.
I genuinely, just looking at what my physique became through that, I honestly think that I could hit like a bodybuilding stage and do it for the IFBB at some
I was
point.
gonna say there's definitely a lot to be said for like one genuine year of super hard training. It's interesting to see what people's bodies can actually do.
Yeah, and I mean it all remains to be seen, right? It remains
Right.
to be seen. But that's a goal and a dream of mine that I have. And I would do it if it was to get onto the stage to achieve that dream, right? The rest of but would I ever just do it again just to do it? No. And so I think that that's the difference between like the addiction portion of it and like the actual substance abuse part. Because like there is no goal for drinking, right? Like I'm never gonna be like, I'm gonna step on the alcoholic world stage. Like so I guess that's where it separates for me. But it absolutely you can absolutely cross the bridge if you are not safe and then just replace, alcohol abuse with steroid abuse.
Right.
It absolutely can be the same thing.
Right.
So
All right, give us that FBI story.
okay. So
As long as you do not incriminate yourself in anything that I have to edit out.
I do not. I'm allowed to talk about these things now.
Okay.
The DEA thing was pretty typical. I was a drug addict. I got involved with drug dealers. I was very small on the totem pole. Just had to talk to them, essentially. That's got arrested by them, got brought to their very scary building in the middle of nowhere, and pretty much just had to talk about things. The FBI story is a lot more interesting. The FBI story, I got arrested by the FBI for my involvement in an international prostitution ring.
Okay. Continue.
And I was not a prostitute. So I, again, 17 at the time, was heavily addicted to drugs and alcohol.
You were 17.
Yeah.
In this story.
Yes.
Oh my God. All right. Continue.
So obviously, you're 17, you're heavily addicted to drugs and alcohol. What do you need? Money. And so I knew this girl at the time. And she is actually, I have this change jar that says boob job fund on it. It's a little ceramic jar. I'll send you a picture of it. You can put it up. That's
Yeah.
She saved up for her boob job in that jar. We were just friends at the time. But I told her, I was complaining to her about how much money I needed. And she was like, hey, listen, if you're really desperate for cash, I can get you a job. I was like, what kind of job? And she was like, I'll just have you meet with my boss. Okay. I knew she was an escort.
Right.
And that's all it was. It wasn't prostitution. It was just an escort. She didn't sleep with people. Escorting is legal in the state of Colorado.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Escorting is legal in the state
Holy
of Colorado. It bridges that gap when, sex is paid for.
Right.
But just to pay a nice young woman to hang out with you is legal in the state of Colorado, which is what escorting is.
Yeah.
And so she gives me a card, and I still have one laying around somewhere. It's a little business card. It's got a very hot woman on it. It says Moonlight Media on it. Okay.
Right.
Give it a call. Talk to her boss. He's like, yeah, I'm actually in Denver right now. Why don't you come on down to my hotel tomorrow? We can talk. I drive down to his hotel. I don't remember which hotel it is, but it has literally, this is the most like sitcom comedy movie. It is a hotel with 2 golden lions in the archway. Okay.
Right.
I walk in. It's a very small lobby, but it's very bougie. It's very nice. It's got a nice little chandelier in it. I promise I'll stop hitting that. I talk to the receptionist, and she's like, yeah, he's in the penthouse. I'll send you up.
Jesus.
So I get in the elevator, goes right to his room, obviously. I shit you not. This door opens. It's red fucking like velvet across the entire hallway in front of me, and a woman in a cheetah print dress meets me at the door. Okay. She takes me back to the main room where 2 more women in cheetah print dresses are waiting for me on each side of the embodiment of gluttony in a human being. He is 6'5", 700 pounds.
Jesus.
Not kidding.
Jesus.
The biggest, most disgusting man you've ever seen in your life. It was mind-blowing to watch. So we've got gluttony as a man. Right here. We've got 2 women in cheetah print dresses on each side of him. And just the biggest pile of cocaine you've ever seen in your life on the table in front of, like literal Scarface shit. Okay? Like with my drug dealing, I saw pretty big piles of cocaine, okay? But it was literal Scarface shit. I talked to him, and he's like, I need people to recruit for me. Every girl that you bring me that does a job, like, pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
I will give you $1,600 for.
Jesus Christ.
That's a lot of money for a drug addicted 17-year-old.
Well, fuck, dude, especially for like, I mean, you think about like what that really is again, we're assuming that these people are doing everything. We'll finish the story and we'll cut it, by the way. I did not expect this to go as long. But like, you go with the assumption of like these people are choosing to get into this line of work. They're also going to be making an outrageous amount of money. So
yeah,
like it's not hard to justify that shit in your head.
We're gonna finish the story. I'm just gonna send her.
Yeah, go ahead.
A 1-second text. So
I'll take like a 13-second pause while you do that.
I can keep talking. I know this story like the back of my hand.
Alrighty, run that.
I meet up with him. He offers me that. I recruit 2 friends of mine, and they do it, and I get the money, and it makes me feel disgusting. It makes me feel just disgusting what I've contributed to. So I cut it off, and that's it. That's the end of my dealings with him. Right. They continue to work for him. They put themselves through college, pay for a house for themselves, but get new cars. I mean, they're making fucking money.
Right.
Now, money like that doesn't come from just escorting. It comes from, becoming a prostitute.
Exactly.
Right? And so because it was actually a prostitution ring and not an escort company, FBI brings the whole thing down, do a sting operation on him, end up bringing him in, him and his wife for running the entire thing.
Right.
He gets thrown into federal prison, kills himself in prison, actually.
Oh.
I just got picked up at my house.
Are we allowed to ask his name?
No.
Okay.
I get arrested at my parents' house from the FBI. They were not super thrilled to open their door and literally see G-men waiting for me. And they pulled me to this building that was like this big glass. It was like a big glass box that was all blacked out glass that you couldn't see inside of it. It was the scariest building I've ever seen in my life. And yeah, I didn't actually get arrested. They just pulled me in for questioning because I was a very small piece on that totem pole, obviously. Right. But it's more fun to say arrested, right? Because they came to my house and took me away. So
So they pull you away, and then what ends up giving you like clearance to just like go free? Just too small time?
I was a very small piece in that puzzle. Right. I recruited 2 girls for him. That's it, right? So they just wanted all the information that I knew, and then they let me go. So
goddamn.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, man. Anything I didn't ask you about that you want to say?
No, not really. Follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, where do they find you?
Drew is the name, all platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I'm really getting back into things right now. YouTube soon. So, yeah.
Alrighty. Boom. There it is, guys. So, again, my name is Andrew. This is Drew. And until next time, guys, we'll see y'all later.
Hey guys, thanks for watching that episode. If you got some value out of that, please give me a little subscribe somewhere in there, whether that is on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening right now. And you can also find me on TikTok, Instagram, pretty much everywhere, honestly, at AndrewPFM. So yeah, guys, until next time, we'll see y'all later.